me for answering a question. Do you want to pick a side here? Let me finish very briefly.
No.
10 seconds.
No, I'm not going to let you finish.
TV reporters are usually the masters of controlling interactions and making people look good if they want or bad if they want. They have those conversational and social skills, like what I teach on this channel, to keep the frame, to make the point that they want. But in this video, I'm going to show you a reporter that gets hammered by a gal named Lauren and a guy named Stefan Molyneux. I'm not too familiar with either of them. I think I've seen a little of their stuff. I'm no investigative journalist, but I think they're on the conservative side of things. But I want to point out, I don't care. I don't care if they're on a conservative side or liberal side because I don't care about what they're saying. All I want to do is take what they're good at socially, and that's what you should be into too. So we're going to look at some of the strategies they used. So I doubt you're going to get investigated or have a report done by some investigative journalist like this. But what if something like this just happens in your own life? At work, someone tries to pull one of these strategies on you and you don't understand what they're doing, you may look like a fool. So I want to teach you these strategies. So number one, they won't be used on you. And number two, if you need to use them in conversation to look the way you want or make the point you want, you have the ability to do so. So let's jump into this video and we'll break it down.
Many years ago, is she?
Would you say that
she's a purveyor of hate speech for questioning the cult of diversity?
Well, okay, if you don't want to answer that question, let's talk about what you've been saying, which is that some races are genetically weaker than others.
Never said that.
Well, what do you say then? Give me your words.
No, it's not what I say.
Give me your words.
That's fair.
Okay. So this is the big point. This is something, I guess, when I was doing a little research, I saw there's a lot of people that have content about this. That basically his argument is that some ethnicities have different IQs, right? When you look at standardized tests and things like that. I haven't seen the data about this. But he says, that reporter, let's actually go back and hear exactly what he says.
Okay, if you don't want to answer that question, let's talk about what you've been saying, which is that some races are genetically weaker than others.
Okay, so he uses the word weaker, which is a lot more powerful, and I believe not what they're saying. I think they were saying it's different IQs, but he says weaker to take one step, to maybe hope that this guy is so behind that point that he continually makes that he'd just be like, yes, and here's why. And then what can that news station quote? He says some ethnicities are weaker than others. So let's see what he goes into here.
Said that.
Well, what do you say then?
So he took the strategy where he didn't correct him and say, no, what I said was this. He just says, I didn't say that, and waits for him to return. Kind of a power play. So he's not reeling. He's like, no, I never said that. What I said was this. He just says, I never said that. It's a nice, confident move. Shows you're not defensive.
Give me your words.
No, it's not what I say.
Give me your words.
That's fair.
Give me your words.
It's not what I say. This is the most established metric in social sciences, IQ.
Okay. Now what he's doing is he's removing any bias or opinion from his statement, because clearly this is a statement that's going to get some people's blood boiling. And he says, no, it's not an opinion. He says this is social science data on IQ. Because when you have an emotional point that's going to make people mad, anytime you can back it up with actual data, it removes the emotion and gives a lot more validity. So let's hear.
If there's no valid test of intelligence called IQ, then there's no such thing as a social sciences at all. IQ, on average, is different between various ethnicities. On average. You don't judge individuals, of course, and it's not a matter of superior or inferior, it's just a matter of difference.
That's interesting, because he doesn't say it's a matter of superior or inferior, whereas an IQ test, higher, is considered superior. But that's one point where he tried to kind of soften the message. That's the first time I've heard him do this in this interaction.
Well established. It is scientifically backed up by over 100 years of testing. Jordan Peterson has talked about it. I've had the editor of the magazine Intelligence, Dr. Richard Howell. Hang on, let me finish. You asked me the question. Let me finish answering.
So he doesn't, that's the first time he tries to interrupt him because he doesn't like where this guy's going. He was hoping it would turn into an emotional conversation, and now he's listing off data, which is harder to refute and harder for the interviewer to spin. So it's the first time he tries to interrupt them.
I'm just trying to figure out what.
Let me finish the question, and then you can ask me.
And that's kind of a sly way when he says, I'm just trying to figure out. it's kind of like, well, what are you trying to figure out? So it would have been easy for him to play into that and be like, well, what are you trying to figure out? Because he's confident he has the right answer. But he realized if he was to let him say that, he was never going to get to answer this question. This is clearly a question he wants to answer, because that guy would probably be like, well, I'm just trying to figure out how last time you were in this place, you said this and this and this. And then it's very hard for him to go back. So he knew there was a risk in doing that. So he just addressed it and said, no, let me continue.
Another one. So this is very, very well established. Now, this is very important to talk about, because as we have more and more of a multiracial society, the IQ tests and the difference that various ethnicities test on that IQ test is highly predictive of how various races are going to do. So you're going to have East Asians who are going to have very high incomes and very high success rates in academics. Let me finish.
No.
Went in there again, tried to interrupt again.
You have whites further down, you have Hispanics a little further down, then you have blacks a little bit further down.
The hand out is indicating that he's not going to stop. But this is kind of a subtle thing. When both people put their hands out, so his hand is only out, the speaker, Stefan, his hand is out to show that he's not going to back down to this other guy trying to interrupt him. He's not using that hand before, but as soon as he saw that hand come out, it's kind of a duel. And you'll notice sometimes when people are trying to figure out when the other person's going to talk, they'll jump in with their hands first to give a sign, hey, it's time for you to be quiet because I'm going to talk. But right now, they're non-verbally and their body language is both saying, no, I'm trying to talk. But because Stefan has the floor, it's easier for him to continue to roll.
Yeah. I'm going to interrupt you. You've got to show some respect.
No, you asked me a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says now, he's so tired of this guy riddling off these facts, and he says, I've got to interrupt you. And so what's his move? Not to continue talking. He's saying, wait a minute. You asked me a question. Why don't I get a chance to answer it?
So am I allowed to? You blamed her for not answering a question. Now you're mad at me for answering a question. Do you want to pick a side here?
So now that's a great move, because now he's basically just calling the guy an idiot. He's saying it's very transparent what you're trying to do. You tried to get her to answer a question she didn't, and now you're trying to stop me because it's an answer you don't want to hear. So now, that has nothing to do with the content of the interview. That's just basically attack on the interviewer. So this is when he, I believe, starts to go a little bit on tilt.
Can I let me finish very briefly?
No.
10 seconds.
No. No, I'm not going to let you finish.
You can tell he's on tilt. There's this big bout of silence. I think Stefan thought he was going to say something, but there's such a long silence that he tries to fill that gap, and the guy's just like, no. You can tell his tone of voice is totally different. He's stuttering. He's awkward. This is when the man goes on tilt.
Me for answering a question. Do you want to pick a side here? Can I let me finish very briefly?
No.
10 seconds.
No,
Can I do 10 seconds?
No, I'm not going to let you finish.
Okay.
So
just so everyone's clear, he asked me a question, now he doesn't want me to answer it.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you finish.
The idea that I would be so offended that I'd faint and get angry and tweet, have a sense of humor about yourself. Are you saying that, let's say that we did want to do that, which we didn't, are you saying the Maoris can't have any sense of humor about themselves? That seems kind of racist.
And you see going into this, they're both laughing and they've got a lot of momentum and they've looked to have much higher status and have the better answers in this interview. And this guy's just getting quieter and quieter and needs more and more time. Mind you, this is a professional interviewer. This guy is supposed to be on the ball, always ready with the right thing to say. And he's not really getting it done today.
Are you serious?
I am.
I'm going to rewind it so you can see that
humor
pause.
About themselves? That seems kind of racist.
Are you serious?
I am serious. Are you saying that whites can take jokes about themselves, but other races can't?
No, all I was doing, and my question was, can you not see that some people might find doing that after what you said about Indigenous people in Australia offensive?
I have no idea how to answer that question. I can't mind read people in New Zealand.
Some people are offended by everything. Some people were offended by women getting the right to vote. Some people are offended by jokes about the genders. Some people walk out of comedy shows. What does it matter? Why is this question relevant to the fact that our free speech has been shut down in your country?
You were offended by me giving a scientific answer to a question you asked.
No, I wasn't offended.
See, now they're going back, they're laughing. And I will say one thing that's important to point out about this social dynamic is it's 2 against 1. And so it's basically just like you got an easy crowd that's going to support anything you always say. And that's actually more powerful than what you think. Like anything you say that's kind of funny, the other person's going to laugh. Even if it's not, you can both kind of act like what the other person is saying is not smart. At that point, when I talk about this stuff, this is very high level stuff. I understand that most people never even want to get to the level where you can break down these little nuances. It's interesting. It's fun to watch. But if when you're out, like at a happy hour in public or around people or have to go meet people, and you're not sure you can make a good impression, you don't know if people are going to like you, you're not comfortable, you don't understand what's going on around you, I'd encourage you to go to socialinvincibility.com. I put together a program just for that so you can understand and do the right things and make the right moves at the right time so you can go into social interactions very confidently. All right, we'll keep it rolling here.
Offended by you giving a scientific answer. I was offended by you going off on a rant rather than just asking the question.
A rant? What do you mean?
Rant.
So if it's an answer you don't like, it's a rant.
No.
Okay, that's actually, you see how calm, you hear this guy's tonality, the Stefan guy? His tonality is so confident and crisp. What does the other guy sound to you? No, that's not what I was saying. That's not what I was saying. And it's pretty funny because his answer was factual, and it was based on the question that he was asked. Like, that was not one where he was pivoting. But this guy felt like maybe if I just, he's definitely reeling, throw in the word rant, he'll be like, oh, maybe I did get ranted. But this guy's thinking too clearly to fall into that trap.
It didn't matter whether I liked it or not. I asked you a pretty basic question. You then embarked on, in New Zealand vernacular, a rant. And
so in New Zealand vernacular, meaning, in New Zealand a rant means a little something different. You can tell this guy is completely full. At this point, he doesn't even want to be there. He wishes this was over and the lights were off.
Got in because I was thinking of the audience, and I just wanted to stop you.
Oh, trust me, the audience is very interested in what we have to say. That's why we sold that event.
Yeah.
So you speaking on behalf of the audience may not be valid.
No, I was just sort of monitoring and moderating things on behalf of the audience.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I mean, he's unbelievable. I don't know if I've ever seen a reporter, to be honest, this on tilt. And then he finishes it with, is that okay?
It's your show, man.
Moderating things on behalf of the audience.
Okay.
Is that okay?
It's your show, man.
Hey, by the way, this video was actually sent to me by a viewer. If you have any videos you think would be good for me to break down, go over to my Instagram. It's Charisma Matrix, and just send me a DM or leave a comment underneath the most recent video. It makes it, I love going through these because it's hard to keep an eye on all these different videos that come out. And a lot of times some of my best ideas come from people who watch the channel. So feel free to do that.
In terms of that, I mean, your own promoter has said that, he feels that powerful forces have got to the owners of tonight's venue. Do you guys agree with that? What do you think's happened?
I don't recall having a promoter, but I don't know where you guys get these terms. But
Carolyn.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There are certainly.
See, okay, that was kind of a subtle thing. So she calls him out. She's like, "We don't have a promoter. I don't know where you guys get these terms." And you could hear his voice. I'll go back. He was quick. He was like.
Carolyn.
Listen how mad he was. He wanted to be sure he did that. But how does she respond? Oh, that's fine. That's fine. So what does that fine imply? Implies that you were wrong. Like, it's okay, buddy. It's fine. Hey, it's fine. You're okay. It's fine. Not like, oh, now I know who you're talking about, where it's a little more of an equal footing at the end. It's like, listen, little guy, it's fine. It's fine. It's kind of like when I talked about in that video where someone's talking to you and you're like, okay, as a response to what they're saying. It's almost like you're approving what they're saying, giving you a little bit of a higher status. It's fine, little buddy.
Has come in to influence their decision,
but it might be something. It might be something a lot simpler than.
Yeah, he might have been beamed up by space aliens and replaced with a replicant. I don't know. We'll theorize as we stand, but we don't know.
Well, I think this is a good place to leave it.
Appreciate the opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
That's so great. Okay, by the way, look at them at the end. Oh, that's so great. By the way, one of the things that I talked about kind of a lot in this was the tone of voice. He sounded very defeated from the very start. His tonality was weak, and both of their tonality was very strong. I've got a video about how to speak with a powerful voice. If you haven't seen it, I'd suggest you click here to watch. It's going to go through some nice things that you can immediately apply to be sure that you sound nice and strong and confident and convincing when you talk. I'll talk to you soon. Understand your tendency to do so, your brain will work with you. And by understanding you're doing that, you'll be able to check it every once in a while. You're going up, you're a little bit nervous. Hey, how's your night going?